welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is all about emotional eating. After my first video, I had an overwhelming response from you asking me for more tips and tricks. So I wanted to compile my top 7 tips to really help you overcome emotional eating. Be aware that it is definitely a journey. You'll have some highs and some lows, but the most important thing is that you don't give up trying and you just keep learning and moving forward. So if you found this video because you've had a bad day, maybe you found yourself sitting on the couch eating mindlessly, watching Netflix, don't worry, you are not a bad person. It happens to the best of us. But hopefully these tips will help you kind of combat those feelings and adapt and learn so that next time you can overcome that feeling of wanting to emotionally eat everything in the fridge and the pantry. If you haven't checked out my first video, click the link in the description below and check it out. But let's jump into this video right now. So starting off with tip number 1, getting down to the root cause. What is actually causing you to want to raid the pantry or the fridge right now? Is it that maybe you had a fight with your partner or your best friend? Maybe you had a stressful day at work. These are short-term issues, but something such as emotional eating is a very long-term issue and it can happen for a long period of time. So we really want to make sure that we can figure out what's causing us to want to go into the kitchen and eat everything in sight. So I do recommend that you kind of reflect on how you're feeling and what made you feel that way and find alternatives as opposed to eating to actually relieve that stress or the emotion. Usually the emotions driving us to want to emotionally eat is something such as sadness, loneliness, anger, stress. So those kind of things can really be short-term issues that could be solved by talking to your friend or your partner, or maybe going to your boss at work to discuss how you're feeling instead of reaching for food as a short-term solution. Because after doing this, if you are anything like me, you'll know that it only makes you feel worse. It doesn't actually help the issue at hand. Also, if you are really struggling with it, it may help to, talk to a therapist or a counselor about how you're feeling so that you can find different ways to manage your stress. Because long-term depression or stress is never going to be good for your mind or your body. Number 2, ask why you're eating. When you are walking past the vending machine, the cafeteria, the pantry, the fridge, think, stop, and realize, am I hungry? Just ask yourself, am I hungry? And rate yourself out of a 1 to a 5. 1 being you're not hungry at all, and 5 being you could literally eat the food that you dread the most and feel satisfied. So it's a very hungry situation. Rate yourself from 1 to 5 so that you can actually acknowledge if you're hungry or not. So if say you are a 4, you're feeling a little bit hungry, can you drink some water? Can you have a herbal tea before you decide to eat? Or if you're even a 1, can you do something else that takes your mind off food for a little bit before you're actually hungry? But if you are really hungry and you know that you need to eat, instead of just grabbing the first thing that comes to mind in the vending machine or in the fridge, prepare a proper meal or a proper snack. So make sure that you have a meal that is balanced in proteins, fats, and carbs. This will just help to keep you satiated for longer and also help control those blood sugar levels. Number 3, swap out your worst snacks, or in some cases your highest calorie snacks. So if you know that you tend to snack a lot, especially when you're stressed, it might pay to next time you're in the supermarket actually pick up some snacks that you can enjoy that are whole foods based and not necessarily super high in calories, so that you can enjoy them in volume. So instead of having a handful of chippies and eating straight from the bag, maybe you will make sure that you've got some popcorn on hand, some little individual packets of popcorn that are more natural based. So it might be a sea salt based popcorn popped in coconut oil. Or instead of grabbing a handful of nuts, it might be that you're going to have a fresh piece of fruit. You are more likely to actually eat fresh fruit and veg when they're easily on hand. So whether that's carrot sticks and hummus, or you've got some frozen berries in the freezer that you can defrost and have with some sugar-free maple syrup, just make sure that you've actually got snacks on hand that are easy to grab, so that if the hunger kind of hits you, you can grab them, eat and enjoy without feeling like you've kind of blown your diet or gone over the top eating unnecessary calories. Implementing high protein snacks throughout the day can be a way to help you stay really satiated. So a typical snack that I might have would be tuna on brown rice cakes. This keeps me feeling full for a little bit longer than something like a little handful of nuts would. And I mean, they're probably going to be about the same calories. So just making sure that you've got some healthy snacks on hand can really help with that. And you know what? Fresh fruit is so easy to get. It's super simple to eat in a rush. And I personally really love fruit. So make sure that you've got those healthy snacks ready to go. Number 4, maintain a healthy meal schedule. So I'm sure a lot of you around the world are currently at home. You're sitting around all day. You might get bored from time to time. You want to reach into the fridge and get some food, or reach into the pantry and grab some snacks. But if you're used to only eating 3 meals a day because you've got work, so you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, try and keep that routine and really keep some structure throughout your day. Whether you are at home or you're going to work, try and have some set meal times that you eat, whether that's like 9 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m., and maybe 6 p.m. for dinner, and then make sure you stick to it. What we don't want is to, get really busy throughout the day and then not eat anything for a few hours, then come home from work, be super hungry, and just find yourself devouring everything and anything in sight. So having a structure around when you're going to eat and making sure that those meals are balanced with proteins, fats, carbs, and getting in enough fiber throughout the day can really help with digestion, overall well-being, and just helping to control your hunger and overall cravings as well. Number 5, make emergency portions. So if you are someone that is really busy and you tend to find yourself going from meeting to meeting, and then you get home and you know that you're always really hungry and you just grab the first thing in sight, it can be a really good idea to make sure that you have emergency portioned snacks or meals on hand. So this might be that in your handbag you carry a protein bar with you, or a snack kind of muesli bar. It might mean that you already have your vegetables chopped up and your fruit ready to go, so that on the off chance that you do get caught up doing something, you've got a healthy alternative there ready to grab and go. So this could also mean that you actually pre-portion out your popcorn or your chips. If you love chips, there's nothing wrong with that, but there is something wrong in eating a whole big bag of chippies in one setting. So just make sure that you've already portioned them out into Tupperwares, so that when you do get the munchies, you can just grab your portioned snack and eat and enjoy that mindfully, without just eating mindlessly from a bag of whatever it is. So this is kind of a trick that I use for nuts, because nuts are something where I feel I could just keep eating all day, and of course they're high in fats, so they're high in calories. So it's a great one to just portion out into, say, 15-gram serving sizes, so that you don't just find yourself eating from the bag. Tip number 6, this is probably one of the most important things, and that is to be kind to yourself. Honestly, we all slip up from time to time. I have definitely had my fair share of stress eating in the past, especially post-comp, which has led to binge eating. I have lots of videos on that. And you know what? True progress and happiness never comes from being negative and mean to ourselves. That is only a short-term fix. You really need to meet yourself with compassion. So you know what? If you slipped up, don't punish yourself by doing extra cardio or, starving yourself the next day. Just pick yourself up, and with the next meal, make it something that nourishes your body and takes care of you. So just because you overate yesterday doesn't mean that you don't deserve to eat today. And I feel this so deeply in my heart for any of you that are struggling with this. Of course, make sure you speak to a therapist and your doctor, your parents, if you're really struggling with a negative restriction and eating cycle. But for those of you that just have the odd occasion of emotional eating just due to letting stress get the best of you, just be kind to yourself, learn from it, realize what happened, journal about it, and then move on from there, and try not to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Lastly, number 7, keep your overall well-being in mind. So this flows on nicely from number 6. There's so much more to healthy eating and exercise than the way that we look. I understand that a lot of people start their fitness journeys to change the way that they look. They want to lose X amount of kilos. They want to look good for this person, that person, fit their wedding dress, or whatever it is. There's just so much more to external appearances. So feeding your body with nutritious foods during a stressful time like this, like a global pandemic, is so important. Not because it affects your weight, but it actually affects how you feel from the the inside out, like from your gut health to your mental health. Moving our bodies and nourishing our bodies with nutritious foods is so much more than the external appearances. I know personally that I feel so much better about myself from the inside out, and even when I look in the mirror, when I'm feeding my body with good foods and I'm not eating an excessive amount of calories. It's just how it is. Our bodies are designed to move, and our bodies deserve to be nourished. There are homes, and we only get one home to live in. So I do recommend that you really look at your eating habits during this time. If you're on lockdown and you struggle with body image issues, or you worry what people think about you, now is the perfect time to really get in tune with yourself, be mindful about what you're consuming, and to work on that healthy relationship with yourself and food, because the relationship that we have with ourselves and food really is one of the most important relationships that we'll ever have in our life, because how we treat ourselves then and how we feel about ourselves then transfers onto other relationships in our life. I know that I am a better fiance, a better daughter, a better friend when I'm taking care of myself, and it's not selfish at all to take care of yourself. It's a necessity. So I really hope that these tips help you overcome emotional eating, or if you've already, recently emotionally overate, I hope that this video really hits you close to home and makes you realize that it's never too late to get back on track and to keep trying. The only time that you fail is when you give up. That's my little chit chat for today. That marks part 2 of my emotional eating chit chat. I hope that it helped. If you have any questions at all, drop them in the comments below. If you have any suggestions or things that have helped you, also drop them in the comments below, because this is a safe community in which we can all help and learn from one another. I will catch you in the next video.